Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be vibe coding with the newly released GLM 4.7, which is a model that came out yesterday from Z.AI. The GLM models are a popular model family that a lot of people use that are very inexpensive models, as you can see here on OpenRouter. This model has a 202,000 context window here, 40 cents per million on the input and $1.50 per million on the output. So it's very inexpensive. And another thing that I noticed was just the throughput, but we'll get into that. I think that what I want to do in this video is I want to show you guys how to actually connect it to Cursor so that you can use it. And then we're going to be going over the benchmarks, and then we're actually going to be using the model to write some code in production on ViewCreator. If you guys are not familiar with this channel, I'm vibe coding every day on an app until I make $1 million. Right now, revenue is I think over 2,200, and we are going into today's day 108. So we're going to be working on ViewCreator, but let's just kind of break down the model. Pricing here. So GLM 4.7 is Z.AI's latest flagship model, featuring upgrades in two key areas: enhanced programming capabilities and more stable multi-step reasoning execution. It demonstrates significant improvements in executing complex agent tasks while delivering more natural conversational experiences and superior front-end aesthetics. That's interesting. Okay, so it's basically saying, hey, it's really good in UI and it's really good at coding. So we definitely are going to want to test those two things out. We'll do some back end, we'll do some front end to test that out. But let's look at the model speed. I think that model speed is definitely one of the most important things now as we go into 2026. Here you can see that on Z.AI, the throughput is 446 tokens per second, which is insanely fast. On Parasail, 60 tokens per second, and then on Atlas Cloud, it's very slow, 29 tokens per second. But look at this. I mean, on Z.AI, 446 tokens per second. That's twice the speed of Composer 1, more than that, I think. So just to note, that's very, very fast. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that fast when we use it in Cursor, but we'll figure that out here shortly. But something that I did want to draw your attention to is on Ella Marina, the leaderboard is pretty impressive. If we go here, you can see that it's 6th place here, right behind Gemini 3 Flash. You can see that, hey, if we view all, where's GLM 4.6? It's all the way down here at number 15. So this 4.7 did a pretty good job because it jumped up to number 6. And it beats out GPT-5, and it's kind of up there with the flagship models. I mean, flagship models are obviously models from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google, but GLM, very impressed here, especially when you take into account the cost, right? So you have this here, 40 cents and $1.50. What's Gemini 3 Flash again? Let's take a look at Gemini 3 Flash. So just for cost comparison real quick. So it's about, at least on the output, it's half the price of Gemini 3 Flash. On the input, it's pretty comparable. Gemini 3 Flash is 50 cents on the input, so it's 10 cents less. So it is cheaper than Gemini 3 Flash, but that's pretty interesting. So the last thing I want to look at is what they released. So on Hugging Face, here are the benchmarks, and it is interesting because on the benchmarks here, they did compare it with Claude Sonnet 4.5 and GPT 5.1. And then they also put DeepSeek on there, but then also GLM 4.6. So interesting that they didn't use like the actual frontier models. I'd like to see this in the context of like Opus 4.5 and Gemini 3 Pro, but they kind of used outdated models, but that's okay. So you can see here, the biggest one that I always look at is the SWE-bench verified. So here's SWE-bench over here. So you can see SWE-bench. They're at 73.8, which is actually like not that high. Frontier models like Opus and Gemini 3 Pro, they're breaking 80 at this point on the SWE-bench. So when I look at this, I'm like, 73.8. I know that it's a jump up from 4.6, but in the context of the Frontier, yes, they're here at 1450, but SWE-bench having 73.8, that's actually not that good. So we'll test it. We'll test that out and we'll see what it does. Here's the live code bench v6. That's interesting. So they do 84 point. I'm not as familiar with that benchmark, but I mean, it looks like they're obviously up there, right? But they are now comparing it with like some outdated models because in I don't know, I just don't use Claude Sonnet 4.5 that much. I mean, once you have a model that's giving you 80 on SWE-bench or over 80, you may as well just use that model. Even though, I mean, you can look at the pricing. You can say, okay, GLM 4.7, this price. And then, for example, if you go to Claude Opus 4.5, just launched that, you're talking about literally 10x the cost. So more than that. So that's pretty interesting to look at and just be mindful of. So if you are somebody that's on a budget, this could potentially be a really good model for you. But with that being said, I actually want to show you guys how to connect this into Cursor. So it's not natively in Cursor, but if you use OpenRouter, all you have to do is set up your OpenRouter key, and you can go to models inside of Cursor. So you can see here I'm in my Cursor settings, and I just did, I clicked override OpenAI base URL. So by toggling this on, you can see I entered the OpenRouter URL here, and then I also dropped in the OpenRouter API key, which I'm not going to share in this video, but you guys can get your own. And then here, all you had to do was copy that, and then you can just paste it in. You guys see this? And then now that that's toggled on, I can now select it in my cursor selector. So what that means is we are ready to go. We are ready to actually test this. So a couple things that I want to test is right off the bat. They did say it has significant UI improvements, so maybe we could just find something. I know that there's some outdated pages on the site, so I think it's in the tools library. Like if I go to tools library and I go to like YouTube thumbnail generator, I mean, this is okay, right? But what I really want to see is, could we make it so that this looks like less AI generated, right? Like less AI slop. There's not a ton of like really creative components on this page. So the YouTube thumbnail generator is a big feature with ViewCreator, and you can see like, hey, when I go to the homepage of ViewCreator, what we've done is we've created all these like really creative components, right? Do you see how we've created these? And I really like them. Like this one here just gives the person that's viewing the website a way of like, oh, this is, a nice little component here that gives me a visual representation rather than having to literally read line by line, right? So I like doing stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in this page into GLM 4.7, and I'm just going to say this. I need you to do an in-depth review of the home page of the website here and gain an understanding of the styling of how we use these custom components to make it so that when users are viewing the website, that they don't have to process so much text, and we give them a visual representation of functionality. I want to do the same thing in this page below. So now I'm going to go to this here, and I can take screenshots, so I can take screenshots. So this is the nice thing about Cursor. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I can just do take screenshot, right? So I'm going to drop in the screenshot of that page there, and then I'm going to go back, or I guess I can just toggle back here, right? Yeah, nice. All right, so now I'm going to go here, and then it's this page. So I'm going to drop this URL in, and I'm going to say, if you go to this page, you will find that there is a bunch of text and not a bunch of visual components that give the user a really good understanding of what this actually does. For example, it would be nice to have some example, like not necessarily a carousel, but something of that nature that shows thumbnails that have been generated using ViewCreator. You can use placeholder images for now, but it would be nice to have a component like that in this page right below the hero section. Also, take a look at the page and make sure that it matches the theme that you see in the home page of the site. We have not revisited this YouTube thumbnail generator page in a while, so I want you to review it and update the styling accordingly to match the theme, as well as integrate this better component-based structuring and styling so it's not so text-heavy. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to drop that in. And then all I need to do is I'm going to drop an additional screenshot in just so it has complete understanding. And then at the end here, I'm just going to do ViewCreator UI to pass in that project. And then we're going to ship this off. So let's see what it does. I'm very interested in what it do there. To just not, does it not process images? It may not process images. That is a possibility. Now that I think of it, does this process images? Let's figure that out. Where can we figure that out? Does GLM 4.7, because did you guys see how that failed? Does GLM 4.7 process images? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys are familiar with the GLM family, so there's a model called GLM 4.6V, and that's the one that will take in images. So that's just one thing to note about these models like GLM 4.6V. This is for vision, and this one is able to do visual inputs. But I don't think that I don't think that this one will actually take in visual inputs. So that's one thing to note. I mean, not being able to take in visual inputs in 2025 is insane. I don't know why they have it that way, but we'll just submit that prompt, and now it's actually working. But that's one thing to know. I didn't know that before getting to it. Now that I think about it, I forgot that GLM doesn't do this, but it does look like it is able to do browser calls. You can see it just navigated, but that's more of like a cursor tool there. But that's definitely one thing to note. Hey, if your model can't see, it's going to be more difficult to prompt it correctly or to be able to add in additional context. And you can see it just navigated to the YouTube thumbnail generator page as well. So it's doing a good job in cursor. But yeah, I mean, I think that not being able to have visual representation in 2025, especially, it's about to be 2026, I don't know why they're doing that. There must be some sort of reason. I guess that's how they're getting it so low. But look at this. It looked like it said performed 3 browser actions, then it just stopped. Do you guys see that? It just stopped working. Hold on. I want to see. Yeah, this is like struggling here. The model is hard to use. It like cut off. I don't know if it just like disconnected, but that's definitely one thing to know. Let's see. One thing I want to check here, and I did not think about this ahead of time, but is this model inside of Droid? I do want to check. I know that Droid is one of the only providers that integrates with them directly. So let's CD into ViewCreator. And let's just briefly, let's launch Droid. I'm probably going to have to update. I haven't used Droid in forever. Yeah, it's downloading the update. I don't use Droid, but I know that they typically allow, and look at that, it broke up again after the browser tool is there. So let's see here. All right, continue. All right, let me see if I can use this in Droid, because it keeps, do you see, I'm going to say don't use browser actions. Do not use browser actions. Just go to the pages and review the code. So I don't know if that's why it's breaking up, but definitely the reliability. I don't know if that's just something on my end or if other people are struggling with that issue as well. But I just did authenticate with Droid, so I now want to see, can we use this model in Droid? I'm assuming so. All right, let's see here. So I'm with Droid. Let's do model. I'm pretty sure that they do offer GLM models by default. Let's see here. Droid 4.6. Yeah. So they only offer 4.6. They have not yet upgraded to 4.7, which is surprising. But I think that the reason that this was breaking up was because it was using those browser tools, and maybe it failed. Oh, you know why it potentially failed is because it was navigating to those pages, and maybe it was trying to pass in visual representation from the browser to GLM 4.7. So then GLM 4.7, without being able to take in image context, maybe it failed. I don't know if anybody in the comments can share why that happened, but it looks like this is now working because now it's just looking at the code. So a couple things to note there. Definitely important of like, hey, I just don't, and that's why I'm a little bit more focused on like frontier models is, yes, you can use GLM, but look at this. It just cut off even now. I think it just cut off. You guys see that? So it just cut off again. Yeah, so GLM unable to process a single prompt here. Do you guys want to try submitting again? Don't use the browser actions, just go to the pages and review the code. Let's try this again. I'm not doing it. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong, so I don't know why it would just be cutting off unless it's just a very unreliable model. But let's launch Droid. Yeah, Droid. So Droid does not offer it yet. You can see that, hey, with these GLM models, for people that are on a budget, it does make sense. But when you talk, I mean, I would never be having this issue with Opus 4.5. I would never be having this issue with Gemini 3 Pro, right? So for me, if I'm coding and I'm vibe coding all day and working, I'm not going to use a model like this just for reliability's sake. Now, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. This model did just come out yesterday, but let's see if it breaks up again. We'll see here. But maybe we can use it. I think I have a Z.AI account. Let me pull this up real quick. I believe that I have a Z.AI account. So I just went to, so this is Z.AI. So if this fails, we could potentially use this as well. How do I switch the model? So yeah, GLM 4.7 is here. Maybe we should just drop in the issue is that there's so many different subcomponents. We can't even copy and paste in all of these components. So it looks like now it's reading the style guide, it's reading the animated backgrounds, it's planning next moves. So let's test how fast this is. It's hard because this is basically, I mean, whenever I use tools like this, it's interesting because it's so outdated at this point. Like, in my opinion, I think that ChatGPT and just the chats in general, that's more of like mainstream AI. I think that what people are doing with agentic workflows and agentic coding is like very much so on the cutting edge. Like, a lot of people, they don't even know about it really, and how it works. But let's just give it a prompt. Can I just think of something random? I want you to search the internet and find everything that you can about the latest released GLM 4.7 model and help me understand what this model's limitations are. Does it take in and process images? Give me everything that I need to know about the model. So we'll just ask the model about itself. We'll turn on search here, and can I send messages? Okay, so if you guys saw, the response was, okay, there we go. Okay, so it does look like this is working. We have 7 to-dos here. So while this is, I mean, let's see how long this takes to search, but you can see it finally is actually kind of moving forward a little bit. So we'll see if it's able to complete this. Planning next moves, it did create to-dos, so create thumbnail showcase component with placeholder images, update hero section with animated backgrounds and modern styling, add thumbnail showcase component after hero section, which is perfectly on my prompt. Update feature section to match homepage card styling, consolidate and reduce text-heavy sections, update color scheme from red to primary blue, and update fact section to match modern fact component. Okay, so that's pretty good. You can see over here, it is, okay, so here's the thumbnail showcase. Let's actually pull this up because we're going to be able to see this drop right in. So finally, we got to work. So one thing I will say is reliability, thumbs down, not approved on reliability. To have to drop in 3 different prompts for it to finally actually have one good run. I mean, you would just never be having that issue with an Opus 4.5 or even, I'm not a big fan of OpenAI models just because they're so behind and slow, but I would say that, hey, even OpenAI is going to be way more reliable than this, and you are going to pay the cost. You get what you pay for. So that's why whenever these companies are offering out like free AI or free things, you should be a little bit mindful of, why is that the case? Why is this model so cheap? Now, this model could do the job for sure if you are somebody that doesn't care much about reliability. It's all based on cost, right? Okay, and this did just finish thinking here, so you guys can see that this one, I mean, I'm not really seeing the speed. So it is saying GLM 4.7 is Z.AI's open source large language. Okay, yeah, so this is a open source model. So I bet a lot of people that are using open source, so marking a significant leap over its predecessors and even surpassing some closed source model like GPT 5.2 in specific benchmarks. That's interesting. GLM 4.7 has achieved state-of-the-art results in multiple public benchmarks, particularly in coding and reasoning. Here's a summary of its standout performances. One thing I will say, though, is it said that the model was like, if we go back to OpenRouter, it did say that the model was fast, like 400 tokens per second or whatever, right? 400 something on Z.AI. I'm not seeing that, like, as I'm testing Z.AI right now, and I guess now it's, okay, so now it's down. Now it's to 94. So that makes more sense. So, I mean, okay, so finally it actually was able to update this. Let's see what it came up with. Hold on, let's refresh this real quick. So it just created the component. It hasn't yet updated the main page to actually put that component. So it created a new component called Thumbnail Showcase. So here is it. You can see it is a 234 line file. So in terms of how fast I was able to update, I would actually put it on the slow side. Now it's now going to import that component into the main page, and we're going to be able to see it here in a second once it's in there. So it's about to come in here. So just put it in the top and just import it. But yeah, I mean, this is slow. This is a slow model. Yeah, I think that Opus 4.5 beats it out. And what I'm seeing is like in Atlas Cloud, and maybe this is because you'll have to give them some more time because they just released it, so they probably are having some issues as they get off the ground. But yeah, Atlas Cloud, I'm seeing the 27.6 right here. Like this is what 27 feels like. To be able to output, only a 200 line file, and I don't know how long that thumbnail showcase step was going for. Okay, it looks like this is in now. So I will say, I mean, it did update this according to the homepage theme, and it updated it with the blue theme. Now, we did prompt it that way. I think that you could say, hey, I kind of liked the blue theme because it was on theme with, YouTube, which was cool. So we could end up moving back to that, but it did accomplish what we asked it to do, which was, hey, I want this to look and be more on theme with like the home page. And you can see here, it put that animated grid in the background. Now, I am still not seeing the thumbnail carousel. I think that's going to go here in a second. It says that it's done. So it said that it finished, but it didn't actually import the thumbnail showcase. You need to make sure that you put the thumbnail showcase underneath the hero. I'm not seeing it. I don't think that you properly imported it and then placed it in the JSX. It's TSX. All right. So yeah, I mean, just not one-shotting. With items like with models like Gemini, with models like Claude, with models like GPT, you are not going to have these issues, right? So that's where you're paying the price with the cost. The question you need to ask yourself is, hey, is saving the money here worth it? Like, hey, if I am integrating with OpenRouter, yeah, it's gonna make sense because I'm literally integrating directly through the API. I'm paying upfront for these tokens. But the thing is that for a lot of people that are doing agentic coding, they're just buying like a Claude Code subscription. And if you buy the $200 20x Claude Code subscription, that is going to be enough limits for you to get to not run into any limits. You're like, for my experience, I use Claude Code a ton, and here it is. It finally did it on the second, and so here's what it created. I mean, it's decent. What do you guys think? It's placeholders for now, but this is the component that it created. Now, yeah, it's just large. It's really big. Like on mobile, how does that look? Oh, that looks good on mobile. I mean, that's not bad. What do you guys think? So this was pretty much just like, hey, we'll create a review section of actual. Great. Now, instead of using placeholders, could you actually integrate with some API where I can, show some placeholder images for this instead of it just being random colors and with text overlays, like actually import images here? I think that there's some, I forget which one it is, but Google Gemini always will, Gemini models will always do that. So instead of doing like text and just color there. So I mean, this is fine. It's not, I mean, this is UI, right? So I don't know if I want to hand off how long. We're at 21 minutes into the video. So I feel like we have enough understanding of the model at this point. I mean, it did tout that it was good at user interface. And I'm not really seeing that. If we go back to OpenRouter, literally they said it right here. It's superior in front-end aesthetics. I don't know what it's superior towards. Here it said that it, let's see, is it done? It already finished? Yeah, so it just cut off. It only listed public. It didn't do anything. So not reliable. I mean, the model did launch yesterday, so maybe they're just having some reliability problems. But this is not that great. I mean, it did do this correctly. So yeah, I think that whenever these new models come out, what's nice about being on the cutting edge of all this is that very quickly as an agentic coder or as a vibe coder what these models feel like and what their capabilities are. And for example, what I'm going to say about this model is I can use it on the back end. I don't want this video to get like super long, but this is not a model that I'm going to be using personally in my workflow. Now, if you're into open source and you're into those cheaper models, then this could be a great model for you. Everybody has their own workflows. Everybody has their own budget. But for me personally, if it doesn't break the frontier, if it doesn't have the ability to even process images, I'm probably not going to be using it. So what I would say about this so far is you guys saw the reliability on it. Even here, it just wasn't able to do this, right? So I don't know why it wasn't. We can resubmit it. But reliability here is not great. I don't know if maybe just the context ran out here or what's going on, but it's just cutting off. So definitely something to make note of is that, hey, this model, the reliability of it and just the speed of it, it's slow. I mean, Opus 4.5 is faster than this. So just be mindful, right? Be mindful. I'm not going to tout this model. Now, if you are on a budget, you can go back to the benchmarks and you can say, well, hey, look at the benchmarks, right? It's not too far off, right? The model is comparable with, Sonnet 4.5 and 5.1, but not really, right? Like at this point, Claude Sonnet 4.5, I mean, I don't know who's still using that model. It now is updating the thumbnail showcase, so we'll see what it does here. And this is just UI. I think that sometimes it's easy. It's just easy to test these models with UI so that you can see it visually. I don't like to test the models like on stream with like some super complicated, or not on stream, but in these videos with some like super complicated backend functionality, which we could do, but I'm not getting that from this model. Even in with UI, it's just not really doing it. We'll give it a shot, but even that file right there, like that should be done updating already, 100%. Like Claude Opus 4.5 would immediately be done with that prompt. So we'll give it a chance to update it. But yeah, I mean, it's comparing it in this benchmark to Claude Sonnet 4.5 and GPT 5.1, which are at this point outdated models, right? I don't know who's still using Claude Sonnet 4.5 or why you would still be using Claude Sonnet 4.5 when Claude Opus 4.5 exists. Let's see if it was okay. Yeah, so it's images, unsplash images. So that is what I was thinking of. So it looks like it is doing the right thing. So it did just go through and update those 6 images to put in for the image. It put in that URL. Now, can I refresh this? Not yet. So it's still updating. But this will do it right, hopefully. But yeah, reliability, just not very good. Not really. Okay, there we go. So that one is done, but is it just going to have to go through every single one? So you can see here are the images that it's just putting in, just so we have some placeholders, right? But yeah, I mean, I think that that's all that needs to be said. This model is not going to be breaking the frontier. Now, if you were using GLM 4.6 models or other GLM models in that, like let's say that you were using GLM 4.6, hey, it is a big jump up. I mean, GLM 4.6 on LM Arena was at 1366, and now it's jumping almost up, what is it, about 90. So definitely improvement. So if you were in the GLM family, this is a huge improvement for you. But if you're on the frontier, if you have a Claude Code subscription, this is nothing to worry about. I'm not going to give it the Bridgemind stamp of approval. I'm not going to be personally using this model. But with that being said, everybody has their own workflows. If you are looking for a more affordable model, then this could be one for you. But also note that, hey, even Gemini 3 Flash is pretty cost comparable, and it's better on the Arena and on benchmarks. I think Gemini 3 Flash, doesn't it break 80 on SweBench? Somebody can double check me there, but I'm pretty sure that it does. So why would you use GLM 4.7 over Gemini 3 Flash at this point? I don't know why you would, because Gemini 3 Flash is way more reliable, and it's faster, and it's not that much of a cost increase, right? GLM 4.7, 40 cents per million on the input, $1.50 on the output, and then Flash is 50 cents and $3 accordingly. So something to note. I'm going to end the video here so it doesn't get too long, but yeah, not impressed. Not going to be using this model myself in my workflow, but I hope that this helps all of you just gain an understanding of my thinking on the model, and I'm glad that we were able to test it out together. But with that being said, guys, I will see you guys in the future.